Are we live? Hello. We will take a look. I'm undead. We're in fact live. Late John Politics. Is this because I only clicked go live right as the timer ran out? Is this the standard I'm being held to? You got to tell me. You got to be honest with me. Okay? Hello, hello. Yep, it's John Rose covering in, guest hosting for Rap. As you guys know, Rap is taking a quick hiatus. We are hoping he comes back soon. We don't know exactly when he'll be back, but we still have news to cover. We still have a conversation to have. And I did see that comment from Melanie Bush talking about how these losers are trying to tell the Trump administration what to do and what to not do. I don't think that that's what this is about at all. If you guys remember back during the election cycle, we pushed immigration. We had Martin, Captive Dreamer, over on X, and he was pushing, along with many, many, many other people. He's just the main one I think about, pushing for stronger immigration rhetoric during the Trump campaign, and we ended up getting that. Now, of course, you can go to an extreme with that, and I don't agree with going to extremes, but I think voicing your opinion publicly with what you disagree on what you see happening is perfectly fine. I think it's just like you have to not get into that headspace of, oh, wow, the Trump administration, it's turned its coat. I don't care about domestic policy anymore. I don't care about any of the things anymore that Trump did that were good over the past half year. It's just this stuff. This changes everything. I was like, you can dislike things. You can disagree with things. You can be very loudly disagreeing with things. And that just sends a signal to the White House. I think the White House needs that communication. It needs that feedback. They need to know how their base is feeling. The people that vote for them. I voted for Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. I'm going to tell them how I feel about things. And hopefully it lets them gauge how they say things when it comes out of the White House. And hopefully it gauges how they enact policies, which we have some big wins to talk about today, guys. We had turnarounds on some negative news from the past couple of weeks. We have coordination between different parts of the White House, a bunch of stuff Panickin's worrying about completely deflating. So we actually have a good bit of good news mixed together with the same anxiety that everyone's having. It feels like a rhythm now, doesn't it, guys? Like we start off the day and everybody's super anxious. And then like we get news like pretty late at night, like in the evening, that makes everybody calm down. And it's like this back and forth, all the anxiety in the morning, all of the chill at night. It's very interesting how we're going. But I do welcome all of you to the Real American Stream. Right now, I am flying solo for just a little while. We will be having old friends, Rap crew showing up periodically. But right now, I'm going to try to fly through the news with you, engage with chat. Let's take a look. We did get a super chat from Correct Mode for $5. Friendship ended with Rap. Now John Rose is my best friend. Now, I'm not going to take this flattery at face value, because if I do, my head would inflate into a melon, and then someone would have to brutally beat me with a club. But I believe that you guys came for Rap. That's why we're still hoping Rap comes back sooner than later. I think you guys like Rap. We're going to get him back on here. But right now, we got to keep flying, make sure that we continue the conversation. And that's honestly why I'm here. We have to continue the conversation. I think if we don't, then it doesn't make any sense. And then if the MAGA movement or if America First is just Trump, well, Trump goes away. And we have to figure out how it, syncs together and coordinates with our future leaders. I mean, a lot of them in the administration, a lot of them outside the administration. We just have to continue the movement. We like Rap. No, we're just waiting for the inevitable Tyrone takeover. Well, I mean, he's coming back in about what was it? I think he's coming back in August. He graduates in August. So you probably see lots of rap. Although, you guys can tell me what you think about this. Tyrone was talking to me about doing a Juneteenth stream. You guys have any Juneteenth spirit? You have some spirit in you to and that is Luke. So hello, guys. Luke is here with me to go over the news stories. Nothing much. I was talking with chat. I haven't started any of the news. We're not at war with Iran. We actually have a very detailed statement from JD Vance to read out, which I'll do that. We talked a lot about Iran yesterday, so I was hoping we could cover other stuff. But because it's on everybody's minds, because everybody's panicking, everybody's really stressed, we're going to go over a few things. Okay, yeah. So I'll pull up some stuff on Iran right now so that you guys can see it. Starting off, we did receive early in the morning letters from people like the Kobesi letter. President Trump is looking for a, quote, complete give up by Iran in last-ditch effort peace meeting per Politico. Again, always keep in mind the sources of these things. Someone tried to clown on me yesterday, and it was someone that very much despises that funny little parking lot in the Middle East. He very much despises that country, but he was trying to own me with news from that very same country. By the way, the news was disproven, I think like 5 to 10 minutes after he did it. Oh yeah, no. Oh, you guys can't hear the desktop. Oh, okay. That's probably because Luke, they can't hear you because I have my settings screwed up. Oh yeah, and I'm showing them all my settings. I probably shouldn't do that. No. Guys, if you're willing to sit tight, actually, I know Okay, look, OBS is fine, dude. I was just trying to use a different thing because I didn't want to wear my headphones. That's all that it was, bro. But yeah, Luke on Real American. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but chat, please stand by, sit by. Luke basically is deeply confused. He is hasn't watched or like read anything from the morning news, so he's going to be learning it along with you guys. But if you guys just sit tight for a second, I'm putting up my headphones. I'm just wearing different headphones, and that's why OBS is freaking out. But once they do, you'll be able to hear Luke. Hold on a sec. Hope you guys are doing all right. Oh, we've got a super chat, K Cub for 5. White Wisconsin dairy farmer sued Trump for being racist against white farmers. Dude also sued Biden in 2021 for the same thing. Yes, he's from Madison. Yeah, we did. But I'm reading super chats as it is my duty to rap. Oh my goodness. Come on. Okay, let me go ahead. I'm going to slide OBS over so that I can fix this because it's just a setting problem. Let's see here. Settings, audio, headphones. We're going to do my earbuds, apply. Uh-oh. Okay, can you try speaking, Luke?
Yo, can the people
Oh my gosh,
hear?
okay. No. Please stop. Please stop.
Wait, why? What happened?
I'm so sorry, audience.
What did you do?
I think I just violated their ears. I think I just violated their ears.
What did you do to me?
All right, okay, guys, can you confirm for me that you can hear Luke now? Okay,
Okay,
horrible mic, but yes, they can hear you now. I like when you spoke, you know, like how like the audio has like red bars. It like went all the way to the
Yeah.
top of the red bar when you started speaking. But now it's fine. I adjusted it. You're fine
I'm
now.
literally using a speakerphone in my basement. Okay.
Okay, Luke is too quiet. Okay, I've increased Luke a little bit for you guys. Just keep talking to me, and I'll adjust as we go. I was
Yeah.
able to hear Luke.
Yeah. Can people hear me? Am I able to be made out? Because this is what I will tell people. I've got a big announcement. I have formally reached out to Real American and requested that I get streaming privileges so that I can stream the heavily anticipated Virginia primary tonight that has one lieutenant governor primary on the Democrat side and nothing else. But because the audience loves a good election stream, I will be streaming it. If Real American does not give me said privileges, it will be live on my channel.
Okay.
But hopefully he will. And yeah, we will have a good night tonight if he gives that. So hopefully he does.
Okay.
We'll see though.
All right. Well, we're looking definitely. If Rap says yes, we'll be looking forward to that. Taking a look. So everybody is talking about how make Luke max. Okay. I increased his volume so you guys can hear him fine. Also,
I didn't
maybe
know
your
people
chat didn't.
wanted to hear my voice so much, dude. I did not know everyone wants to hear me on max volume. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, like they're so addicted to your voice, dude. Anyways, let's go ahead. Early in the morning, Trump looked pretty tired. He was on Air Force One. He had him a couple of comments. The one thing is that he kind of was talking about in terms of surrender. Actually, we have a clip from JD that we may be able to get for you guys to listen to real quick. Okay, nope, that's the other JD post. This is, yeah, here's the video. So this is a quick clip from President Trump. And he's basically, Luke, he's saying that he wants Iran to, we have control of their skies. We have control of everything. We have the ships nearby. We just kind of want him to drop it. We want an end to everything going on. But he's also saying like he would accept it if they just like surrendered.
Interesting.
And so an end, a real end, not a ceasefire. If you guys couldn't hear that, that's what he's saying. It's interesting, and it seems as though the posturing currently is that the Trump administration believes like Iran does not have a lot of good options, which, you know, is supported yesterday by their kind of panic. Iran like reversed 180 and was like, listen, please, we'll like come and we'll talk to America. We want to discuss a ceasefire. Can we just like chill out, guys? And Israel essentially looked at Iran the same way that Russia looked at Ukraine and said, no, you want a temporary ceasefire so that you can get your crap together and then bomb us again. Trump's just saying, look, give up if you can. I actually have a text to read from JD, so I'll read this whole thing from JD, and then you can tell me what you think about it, Luke, because it's not saying we won't do anything, but it is saying it's kind of giving a large amount of reasoning for what's currently going on. Let me get to the latest post. Okay. All right. Look, I'm seeing this from the inside, and I am admittedly biased towards our president and my friend, but there's a lot of crazy stuff on social media, so I wanted to address some things directly on the Iran issue. First, POTUS has been amazingly consistent over 10 years that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And they actually have a rapid response post where it's like, well, here's 40 times he said Iran can't have a nuclear weapon during the campaign. Here's a dozen times he said it over the past half year. Over the last few months, he encouraged his foreign policy team to reach a deal with the Iranians to accomplish this goal. The president has made clear that Iran can't have uranium enrichment. He said repeatedly that this would happen one of two ways, the easy way or the, quote, other way. Second, I've seen a lot of confusion over the issue of civilian nuclear power and uranium enrichment. These are different issues. Iran could have civilian nuclear power without enrichment, but Iran has rejected that. Meanwhile, they've enriched uranium far above the level necessary for any civilian purpose. They have been found in violation of their non-proliferation obligations by the IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is hardly a right-wing organization. It's one thing to want civilian nuclear energy. It is another thing to demand sophisticated enrichment capacity It's still another thing to cling to enrichment while simultaneously violating basic non-proliferation obligations and enriching right to the point of weapons-grade uranium. I have yet to see a single good argument for why Iran needed to enrich uranium well above the threshold for civilian use. I have yet to see a single good argument for why Iran was justified in violating its non-proliferation obligations. I have yet to see a single good pushback against the IAEA's findings. Meanwhile, the president has shown remarkable restraint in keeping our military's focus on protecting our troops and protecting our citizens. Now, listen, guys, this last part's kind of the important part, so kind of zoom in here. He, referring to Trump, may decide he needs to take further action to end Iranian enrichment. That decision ultimately belongs to the president. And of course, people are right to be worried about foreign entanglement after the last 25 years of idiotic foreign policy. But I believe the president has earned some trust on this issue, and having seen this up close and personal, I can assure you he is only interested in using the American military to accomplish the American people's goals. Whatever he does, that is his focus. And that is the end of the post.
Translation: tell the Ayatollah gonna put him in a box, bomb Iran. I'm kidding.
Well,
I'm kidding. No.
Well, you may be kidding, but when I see it and he's talking about potential action and he says it like that, I take it and I couple it with the rhetoric from last year at the RNC going forward about exactly how an attack on Iran would go, because they did ponder exactly what would happen if we did have to do it. Hard and fast, get in, get out. And so if the president does choose to do something, then it seems like to me at this point, it would be go in, bomb the shit out of them, leave. Doesn't seem like President Trump is interested in any troop action. And the reason I say that is because the White House has been saying it over and over and over again. I feel like if they were moving towards war with Iran policy, we would have seen the rhetoric slowly shifting, like boiling the frog in water. Like you raise the temperature just a little bit every time. I would expect to see the rhetoric from the administration, from Marco Rubio, from everybody else, to be like, oh, well, maybe a couple troops, maybe. But right now, it doesn't seem like we're talking about anything like that. They keep on saying over and over again. Pete Hegseth got on Jesse Waters last night, and he said, all the ships we moved, they're there for defensive posturing. Now, when I hear that defensive posturing, what it sounds like in my ears is we're having to have communications between two different groups at the same time. Trump's talking to the base, and he's trying to calm down the base, and that's why he keeps saying, look, no, we're not doing this. We're not having troops. We're not doing blah, blah, blah. But then he's also at the same time actually trying to signal to Iran at the same time. And I think he wants Iran to think that we would just blow the shit out of them. And he's hoping, like he said this morning,
a lot of this comes down to the unpredictability he tries to do. It's actually
right.
a very Nixonian thing that kind of Trump co-opted on foreign policy. Yeah.
Unpredictability. I think he wants the Iranians to shit their pants and beg and cry and on over the phone for things to stop. I actually like that. That's the image in my head.
It's a very realpolitik move, like a Henry Kissinger Nixon type thing. So I do have some respect for it. I do have to say for that reason. But so yeah, we'll have to wait and see. You have to trust. Don't be a panican. Trust in Donald John America. If we go to war, though, I don't know.
I know. If we go to war, I understand, and I'm not telling anybody to like change their opinions on that. I haven't changed my opinion on that, but this weekend I was in the same headspace as a lot of y'all that are currently still having a massive amount of anxiety about this. And over the days, every single day, this pattern's been coming up over and over again, where it looks like things are happening, and then a bunch of cold water gets splashed on it by the admin. And I'm like, who are the people that are causing the anxiety, and who are the people putting the cold water? The people causing the anxiety are a mixture of different online groups, people from outside of the United States commenting on it.
A lot of
And
not even just Israelis, but like Indian accounts masquerading as Israelis. That's another
well,
thing you've got to
yeah,
worry
that
about.
that that was a funny thing someone posted to me like earlier today. This was a guy who was like, "I was born in America. I'm an American citizen. I will not die for Israel." And then there was a community notes on it. It's like this user was born in Pakistan or something. It was
Oh,
like
and
this
then on the
this
Israeli
user lives in
side,
Pakistan.
there'll be these
Yeah.
people that are like, I'm an Israeli patriot. I'll be like, this user is from India.
Well, there are some Indians, but it's actually just Israeli senior officials and Israeli media that are causing anxiety amongst our base because they actively, along with a couple of local people like Mark Levin and Sean Hannity, they're actually trying to goad the American populace into accepting war. And it seems like it's the Israeli
And also, can
it's
I just point this
yeah,
out?
yeah.
Why the fuck is Riley Gaines making foreign policy statements? Okay, you are a shitty swimmer who honest, I hate to say it, but she's a fucking grifter. Okay, she literally like she came like 15th in a competition, and then she just blamed the trans shit on it, which all of us agree is stupid. But
Yeah.
no, she did not have like her entire thing stolen for her. She was like 15th place. She wasn't
Yeah.
like some like amazing person up there. But now she's using that grift to talk about why we need to go after Iran. I'm sorry, you're a swimmer. No
Yeah,
one wants your foreign policy takes. Okay,
it's
I
it's
saw that.
it's ridiculous. It's absurd. And the main things I'm going to catch up on super chats real quick, but the main thing that I wanted to point out was that the Israelis and a bunch of both the Israelis and the Iranians and anybody that supports either side outside of our country want us to go to war. And it's for the people that hate Israel, it affirms all of their beliefs about how the United States is evil. And for the Israelis, it's like, oh, yay, cool. We get to drag them into another war and they get to blow up our biggest existential threat for us. So both of these groups of people, for cynical reasons and for cynical reasons, both want us to, shed blood for them. And it seems like the Israeli media is pushing this really hard. But the people that are putting the cold water on the situation seem to me to be the people actually in charge of our country. And so there's two possibilities. Possibility A, they're trying to keep everybody bottled up and calm, and they're trying to keep everybody calm while they maneuver around and do what they think is necessary, which may include just like a bombing run, bomb the shit out of them. Or B scenario, uh, they're trying to deceive us. And right now it just seems like if they were trying to deceive us, I feel like they would be shifting their position a little bit. But every single night, it's like, no, we're not doing it. 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 So either I'm currently leaning towards trusting the administration, which is always a risky thing. That's a gamble. Trusting the American federal government, not something that I always advocate, but it's the consistency of the messaging that's making me believe what they're saying. Anyways, we'll go ahead to super chats real quick. Cherokee Bear for 2. Did you see how WET Harry Sisson was? I'm sure that I saw like a couple things from Harry Sisson, but it was like so garbage. I just didn't even look at it. We got Chinese flags in the chat supporting Luke nationalism.
W. Thank you, Patriots. Thank you. Cue the red sun in the sky. We love this. We love this. Patriots in chat.
All right,
I'm
Magor
kidding, of course.
Belarus.
Unless
Magor
I'm not.
Belarus for 2. Luke Goonon. I think he's accusing you of being a gooner. Luke has never said anything goon, like even in
This is
private.
fake news.
I've never heard him say a single goonerish thing. He might in the future now, but I've never heard him say that. General Hydra, member for 22 months. We appreciate you, sir. Are you guys doing the New Jersey election? Yeah, Luke was just talking about wanting to cover it, I believe, right? You were just talking about wanting to do it tonight.
Well, wait, the New Jersey. I assume you mean the Virginia primaries that'll be taking place tonight.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
My brain's getting
I
mixed up.
will if Real American allows me to. I will be streaming on this channel, and if not, I'll be live on my channel.
Yeah,
So go
I'm gonna
sub
be.
to at Great Lakes
I,
Politics. Go sub to it.
I'm going to be real. If there's anything coming up, the winner of did the primaries already happen for New Jersey, or are they happening soon?
Yeah, they happened last week. Yeah,
Oh
Jack and
yeah,
Mikey
yeah.
Sherrill won.
Well, yeah, that was what was
And
confusing me
also,
about
by
it.
the way, yeah, Jack looks like he's in a very good position. A poll yesterday found he is only down 3 points, 45 to 42%, with a lot of undecideds, which means he's very much so in this. This is a toss-up race.
Well, right, yeah,
Jack
no,
very well could be the next governor of New Jersey. So
I think Jack's going to do really good. I saw some good numbers for it, but like that was what was confusing me. Is General Hydra was like asking, "Are we going to do the elections?" And I'm like, "You mean like in several
well,
months?"
yeah, yeah. There'll be someone will be on this channel to stream the general elections in November. Someone will be
But
on the
yeah,
streaming.
that was
Um,
what confused me. I was like, "Didn't we already do the primary?" And I was like, "What?" And I'm
yeah,
like,
that'll
"What?"
be yeah, that'll be down the line. I will say too, interestingly, I know everyone's talking about how dog shit of a campaign Sears is running. We now have one major poll that came out yesterday too that also showed Sears is only down 3. So we'll see. Is a lot of this like Sears stuff just like terminally online people? Because this is what I'll say. I don't think Sears is going to win, but I think there is a common trope on ET for people to just like look into every little speech, every little minuscule detail of a candidate's campaign, and they'll make like one gaffe and they'll just be like, it's over. It's over. This person's cooked. And I think
Uh,
that's what a lot of people on ET are doing with the Sears campaign. The average person in Virginia is not sitting at their screen staring at every speech these people are giving and being like, oh, she made one gaffe on abortion. It's over. The entire
well,
election's over, which
no,
we'll have to wait and see. That's what I'll see.
I'll tell you with
Yeah,
total
yeah.
honesty where my opinion on Sears comes from. It's beyond like my personal ideas, which are just, like I've told you guys, I don't like naturalized citizens running for executive offices, or judicial, really. But the main thing that is making me think Sears has kind of bad prospects was the stuff I had heard from Virginia Project on X. If you guys know Virginia Project, he had been talking to me. He's told me he's been trying for years to work with Sears, and Sears just never, he may have felt scorned by Sears because Sears never seriously interacted with him, even though he was like running a really big fundraiser in Virginia. Uh, but all the stuff that he told me has made me think that she just kind of is bad at running a campaign. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. American Nerd for 2. So basically the madman theory. Well, yes, that is what's going on. Trump has been doing madman theory for lots of stuff beyond this. He's even tried it a little bit with Russia. Um, but yeah, no, Trump's unpredictable, and that's what's happening. And well, people are alluding back to North Korea. Remember, we had a big. Some of you may not remember, but we had a big spill in the first administration where we thought we were going to go to war with North Korea for a bit. And Trump ended up being like one of the first presidents in like maybe in like the history of the country's existence to cross into North
To
Korea and
visit,
talk
yeah,
to the
yeah,
leader.
to visit, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of crazy. As far as what's going on right now, this is a different situation, but the point is madman theory's been going on for a while. Let's see here. Indian internet theory, the voices for 2. Yeah. I'm telling you guys, I'm not going to ramble about this, but quick thing, just keep in mind that the people you talk to are not from your state and most likely not from your country. They're from a faraway
Yeah,
land.
don't just
And
because the Jerusalem Times says that Trump is fully committed to bombing Iran does not. And the frog people keep claiming that like the Israeli media is the most trustworthy media on the planet. It's like, aren't you supposed to hate these people? Yet you get all that. It's almost like these people want us to go to war with Iran so they can be vindicated. It's dumb. I don't understand why they're like egging this on. Like they're acting like it's like something they want to see happen so that they can be like, see, I told you so.
oh
Like
yeah,
I never
but
liked that kind of politics. I never
hey,
liked the idea of wanting something to fail because
yeah.
you want to be proven wrong.
Yeah, it's really dumb. And really, a lot of the people, like I said, that are doing this, that are participating in that exact action right now, actually just want America to be evil. And they want their bias to be confirmed that America is the most evil thing on the planet. And I don't believe that. Okay. We had American Nerd again for 3. Imagine if Iran became the Balkans in the 90s. Whew. That would have been very, very interesting. Object Class Keter for 5. Israeli media has been saying U.S. attacked Iran, and Trump said evacuate Tehran. Gaslighting United States. Pentagon press has been trying to correct on media. Yeah, no, I mean, so for the past half year, when media has been fighting Trump, we've been kind of like cheering on the administration. We cheered on Trump for kicking the AP out of the Oval Office. But now that the media is kind of directly pushing a button where we're all of us are sensitive. I'm sensitive. You guys are sensitive. Luke is sensitive. We don't want bad things to happen. Isn't that crazy? Like, we don't want like massive amounts of bloodshed and bad things to happen. What are you, a psychopath? No, but because they're touching a soft spot now, all of a sudden we're trusting Israeli media, foreign media, and all the people that were lying to us for the past decade and beyond that. It's something to kind of reflect on. I think the safest thing is to not have an opinion right now.
Boston nationalists want me to say Trump is going to the Situation Room right now. So
okay, he had
to
sent me some
striking
stuff.
Iran.
He had sent me some stuff about this. He wanted. Oh yeah, the other thing Boston had sent me was that he wanted to confirm that there is no feud between Tulsi Gabbard and Donald Trump. This is Tulsi Gabbard's this is Tulsi Gabbard's statement via CNN. President Trump was saying the same thing that I said in my annual threat assessment back in March. Unfortunately, too many people in the media don't care to actually read what I said. So when somebody misquoted, according to herself, Tulsi Gabbard in Air Force One, Trump was just like, I don't care what she said. But Tulsi's response to that is, that's not what I said. Anyways.
I will say though, like this, because I've seen some neocons really trying to like say Tulsi was an Iranian agent. That was never the case. You look back at her position; she was never pro like Iran in any way. She was pro people like Bashar to an extent, who were like more secular leaders, but she never supported like the Islamic. She never supported like the Islamic dictatorships. Like she made that very clear, even when she was like a Democrat, that she like fully was opposed to stuff like Iran.
Yeah.
So like this idea that she was ever owned by Iran is just stupid. Like you could make the argument. I think it's stupid, but you can make the argument she was sympathetic to Bashar. But the reason for that was because Bashar, secular leader, a lot different case than Iran. Obviously, they were aligned on many things, but there's still many differences, and it's not just all black and white. Just because one country is allied with another country does not mean that they're fully aligned. Yeah, go on.
I think like the way to like be super reductive about it, and just to say it briefly, is in the Middle East, things are always horrible. People have arguments about what is the most and least horrible thing to happen. And Tulsi Gabbard made a different calculation. And she's like, well, the horribleness that comes with an Assad regime is not as horrible as what I'm looking at as the alternative, which is, again, like there's a famous terrorist in charge of Syria now, and we're just all hoping that he's going to be chill. That's
I mean,
really
it sounds like he's been giving Israel like access to their airspace, so that's interesting.
Yeah. No, so it's interesting, and maybe Tulsi was wrong, but you understand, like, she didn't know how the government would behave in Syria before Assad fell. So it's like, you know, she just
there's a lot of theories that the reason he got in was because of assistance from Israel, but I'm not going to get into that. So there might be a reason. That's what I'll say. We'll see, though.
Yeah, well, we will see. Like that's really like, if you don't want to trust the plan, if you are not brave enough to be a plan truster today, my message to you is Zen Buddhism. You know, just be chill, just like wait, observe, see what happens, and then you can have a very loud opinion once everything is finished happening. And like, but you probably look smarter if you do that. Anyways, Inari for 5. I oppose war with Iran as much as anybody, but many protests are dumb. You see like a billion people saying, I won't die for Israel. Sure you won't, bro. You're not even in the army. Yeah, I'm kind of... I've been seeing this mantra a lot, and I've seen it for years. And like, I won't effing die for Israel. I was like vibing with that like the first 1,000 times I saw it, but like now it's getting associated with like some of the worst people. And again, like I
It's
don't have
being
the same.
associated with illegal immigrants
It's being
masquerading in the
associated.
frog cult.
It's like illegals and people that live several thousand miles away from the United States, and they're like, "I won't die for Israel, bro."
Pakistanis, yeah, the Pakistanis won't go fight and die for his. Yeah, that was what was going to happen. Yeah, the Pakistani government was going to draft you to fight Iran.
Yeah.
Very
So
true.
yeah. So just to be clear, there's nothing wrong with saying I won't die for Israel. That's a perfect. That's like beautiful statement. But I just remember like the people that signal that online right now are kind of like they're grifting. I'll say that. I think they're
I
grifting.
I
I,
will say, I actually have a very interesting take from my Discord just now, and I don't. This person has no connections or anything, but this is an interesting take that I could definitely see. And the guy, his name's the Jewish Warrior. I think you can take a guess where he stands on the conflict. He said, TBH, I think Trump doesn't join and just says we have to continue supporting Israel, our great ally. And then new reports will keep coming out every day saying Trump to decide today whether to join Iran war. I could see that happening. That is
uh,
something that could potentially happen.
Mike Oxford for 5. I like the super chat. He's really getting to the core of it. The sad reality is that while America's goal is for Iran to have no nukes, which is like just plain statement, Trump's no nukes. Israel's end goal is regime change. This is 47's biggest test so far. I think that's like really the center of it. Trump has different voices in his head. He has a bunch of people in the administration that feel very similar to how we feel. And then he has these people, the Israelis, the Israeli government, Bibi, all of these people and their lackeys that in our media telling him something else. And we're all sitting here praying and hoping that the right side wins the argument. We're not like turning our backs on Trump. We're not looking away from all the agenda that we've set forward. We just want the right side to win in the battle within foreign policy. That's really all we're looking for. Lewis Jr. I don't have a very serious position on reinstalling the Shahs in Iran. He may have been referring to like some meme stuff I posted yesterday. There's just some funny that there were some funny
every
images.
person I see that has like the bring back the Shah, I'm Iranian, just says like location Los Angeles, California. It's kind of like when you see these Pakistanis and they're just like we need a jihad to take back India. And then you look at the like location, it says London, England. It's quite interesting. Um
Oh yeah,
it's I go on.
well, no, I was saying Charlie, who has been a member, he's in chat saying I would agree it would be a good thing for the people of Iran. So that's his position, but I want nothing to do with it. The second half of your statement, Charlie, that's exactly how I feel. Whatever the crap happens in Iran with their deeply unpopular government and their like part fundamentalist, half secular, and like in the what do you call it, the racial diversity in Iran, I don't care. Let them figure it out completely alone, separated from us. We like as long as like we're not involved, they can do whatever they want, and
Because
there
I
will still
have
be.
heard some reports that their president is more open to a deal, but the president, because here's the thing, Iran has two like political groups. They kind of have like a sham presidency that doesn't do a lot. It basically gives them the illusion of democracy. So the president is technically a reformist, which reformist by Iran standards would still be like very extreme in the West. But like there's been some reports that the president seems more open to making a deal, but he really doesn't have power. The supreme leader is the guy who has power, and he is very much so on the fundamentalist end. And so yeah, that's why you're not really going to see anything. So yeah,
Right. Yeah. So whatever Iran chooses, I want them to choose it completely separate from anything that we do, and just let them do that, and then whatever.
I don't.
And
Yeah, it's not our choice. It's not Israel's choice. It's the people of Iran's choice.
let
That's how
let
it
let
goes.
let if Iran wants to devolve into a civil war, then I think that I will feel the most comfortable about it. It will negatively affect the world. It will negatively affect us.
We
But
got to focus on the. We got to
yeah,
focus in America on making sure that no kings except Burger King people don't
yeah, yeah.
start a
So
revolution themselves.
so
We
that's
got a lot of
probably
worries.
probably a good cue. I was checking through the other stories just to make sure there's nothing. I did want to mention before we jump off this topic. I want to jump off the topic, but Bill O'Reilly said early today, very briefly, a text with President Trump. He does not want to use American air power at this point because that would cause some problems with China and Putin. He would rather have the Iranians surrender, which he believes they will. So this is someone who has direct contact with the president saying he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to do the airstrikes. He really doesn't.
Yeah.
And
And
the
again,
reason he
this is
doesn't
another
want it.
very big, like, Nixonian realpolitik strategy, kind of like with the foreign policy. And he doesn't really, he's okay with somewhat getting invested in some of these smaller conflicts. But you notice he is trying to de escalate tensions with the Russians and Chinese. I know you have that trade deal going on that's going to come out with China very soon, I know. And that's something he definitely is thinking about. He's thinking about a lot of this. So I think the people who think he's just a madman who's just going to do what Israel wants blindly, it's just not true. Because it's clear that he's thinking about, like, how will this affect the trade deal with China, which is something that we're really trying to get past? How will this affect my efforts to try to end the Ukraine war? That's another thing. So he is thinking, he's considering this. If he was just a madman doing what Israel wants, he probably would have assisted in Israel the other day when they started the bombing campaign, but he didn't.
Right.
So yeah.
So yeah, that's what I think is happening. That's what we think's happening. We're gonna sit tight. We're just gonna either wait and see. If you can't trust the plan, just wait and see, and then have your super negative or super positive reaction after whatever happens. Okay. So I wanted to also get over to some quick immigration stories. I want to talk about some other stuff, but cover immigration at the top of the hour. Top of the hour? Yeah, we're like at the top of the hour. Bottom of the hour? Bottom? Top? Okay. This came out yesterday, and we have a little bit of extra news to it, so we don't have to spend a bunch of time on it. But Trump officials reverse guidance exempting farms and hotels from immigration raids. So WAPO's doing this. They are saying that the Department of Homeland Security on Monday told staff it was reversing guidance issued last week that agents were not to conduct immigration raids at farms, hotels, and restaurants, a decision that stood at odds with President Trump's calls for mass deportations. Officials from ICE, including the Homeland Security Investigations Division, told agency leaders in a call Monday that agents must continue conducting immigration raids at agriculture, hotels, and restaurants, according to two people familiar with the call. So it is anonymous. It's people familiar with the call. The new instructions were shared in an 11 a.m. call in for representatives from 30 field offices across the country. Anyways, so from what we can gather, if this is true, if WAPO's doing their due diligence, this means that Trump is going to continue the ICE raids. And obviously, that was something that was upsetting a lot of us. I was starting to see some people do theories on strategy. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. But overall, I'm happy to see this. Do you have any any comments on this in particular, Luke?
W. I don't know. I just know it's a W.
It's a W.
And yeah, it's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
I kind of wish. Yeah, I like it. It's pretty good. We're doing pretty good with that. I hope that we can efficiently do it, but yeah, I'm glad he's doing this. So we have something to be excited about. And I'm not just fully focused about bombing Iran, because that is I don't want to bomb Iran.
Well, right. We have stuff to talk about. There's good stuff happening in the local.
Oh no, we got to talk about the good things. We can't just talk about, because
right.
I don't know. I don't want the entire legacy of the admin to just be Iran.
No, there's so much more going on. And to connect with this story, there's another story that we saw coming out this morning. I have an Aaron McIntyre tweet. So you remember the menswear guy who is an illegal? I think he's like an illegal person of some sexual orientation. I don't know, but he got spotted by the administration, and they might end up deporting him soon. And he was basically trying to say that, oh, why aren't Americans taking those farming jobs? Kind of trying to say, oh, well, we were right. We will right. Americans are too lazy to work these jobs. They don't want to work these jobs. We need slave labor. And then immediately afterwards, we get an NBC News article saying how a city in Nebraska is recovering after the state's largest worksite immigration raid. Okay, listen to this, guys. You really want to listen to this. This is an amazing art, like paragraph. Omaha, Nebraska. Every seat in the waiting area of Glen Valley Foods was occupied with people filling out job applications early Thursday afternoon, 2 days after the meatpacking plant became the center of the largest worksite immigration raid in the state of Nebraska so far this year. So, if you guys are reading this right, the point is we got all the migrants.
Why can't people get jobs anymore?
Why can't people get jobs anymore, guys? It's really funny.
Yeah.
The second we remove
Okay,
all
I've got
of these
some
illegals,
unfortunate news. I do have some fortunate news. Rap wants to keep it to one stream a day, so I will be live covering Virginia tonight on my channel. So go subscribe to @Great Lake Politics or Great Lakes Politics. One of the apps. It's me looking schizophrenic in the profile pic. You'll be able to tell who it is.
Yeah.
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 Go
real
on.
quick. Yeah, real quick. Super chats. We'll get back to the story, but real quick. Lord Rhino for 10. Iranian Civil War of the 21st century would be a complete disaster due to how many different ethnic groups is found there. Yeah, a lot of people have talked about that. Talked about balkanization. Talked about how the secular people, even though they're a considerable, I believe, majority, there's just so many pocket groups. You might see a fracturing. You might see 4 or 5 countries come out of Iran in that situation. Would be kind of be testy. Hendon Hooker for 5. Twitter panicans have been insufferable over the past few days. Pray that Trump does the right thing. Yes. And everything gets resolved ASAP. Yes. Yeah. Pray and make sure they know. Like, make sure you just say, like, you don't have to be like, oh, the admin betrayed me. Like, just say what your opinion is. I don't want X and Y and Z to happen. And then, like, don't try to, like, stir up people's emotions. Don't try to, like, go into rage. Just tell them what you want. But yeah, no. But pray Trump does the right thing and everything gets resolved. K-Cub for 2. No more panicking. Panic-canning. Always trust Trump. I'm going to be honest, as far as like a lot of stuff's been going on over the past half year, trusting the plan does seem to work out a lot more. That's what I see. Those people end up looking, they may not be smart, but they end up looking smart. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, no. At the end of the day.
Oh yeah, and here's what I'll say too, because a bunch of people are talking about this in Discord. I hate to bring it back to this one issue, but it's whatever's on everyone's mind. No, I don't think there's any scenario where there's a ground war in Iran. I don't think the United States would ever do that, especially under Trump. If that ends up happening, I would be extremely shocked. But yeah, do not expect there to be a ground invasion of Iran, because that would be Iraq and Afghanistan on steroids for how impossible that would be.
Well, yeah, there's just immense logistical problems. There's problems with rooting out the government after we kicked them out of the Capitol. It just would be a really messy situation. I don't think Trump wants to get into that, but we also don't really want Trump to get into an extended conflict period, which is why we're just really trying to push. Hey, please don't do the thing you really don't want to do. That's what it seems like right now. We're just, anyways. But getting back to this, the point of this statement, it completely refutes everything we were told for quite a while over the last year in regards to Americans' capacity to work and immigrants. We need immigrants, we need illegals because Americans are too lazy, too dumb, or too high class. They need too much from a job to be able to work these jobs. The people that set the wages are the people that own the businesses. The people that figure out how to calculate that into their business model are the businesses. And look, if we need to protect a certain business from going out of business, the solution's not to fire American citizens and hire slaves. The solution is to find other things. We negotiate. Tariffs seem to be a big tool in the toolbox of this current administration, but we have other things we can do other than tariffs to protect our businesses. And we should be exploring every single other option if it actually is on paper totally unfeasible to hire a normal waged worker for these jobs. But apparently it's not, because there's 1 billion job applications for this meatpacking plant that are going in. And it looks just like a lot of jobs that could have gone to Americans anyways are going back to Americans because we did the right thing and kicked out illegals. So yeah, I don't think the story's not complicated. We don't have to wax eloquent on it, but that's the story. The story is they lied to you. The Democrats lied to you. The pro-immigration people lied to you. And Luke, he lied to you about China at some point. I don't know what about, but something. He said something about China. It was probably a lie. I'm kidding.
I mean, no, you know who's lying to you about China is all the Fallen Gong owned accounts on Twitter. I'm sorry. Okay. Break, because I have to do this, I have to give people a public service announcement. If you ever see news about China and you look into the source and you see New Tang Dynasty or NTD somewhere in there, do not trust it. It's run by a cult. Okay, keep going on. Because I see a lot of people linking me shit from there to debunk me on China. I'm like, you're giving me cult information. So thank you.
I would like you to talk a little bit about the next news bit, which is on RFK. I'm gonna link it to you in general.
I love my boy RFK. Dude,
can you read?
This
can
is
you
what
read
I
it?
love. Well, yeah.
Can you read it off for me while I go to the restroom?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes. Okay. There we go. Okay. Let me read the headline. I'm clicking on the link, and the Wi-Fi is not very good down here. Major food company Kraft Heinz said it will remove totally all chemical, artificial dyes from its food products following Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s push. Now, what I'd like to say with RFK is I think it's crazy that when the entire administration is like, it seems like I don't know. It's chaos. What's going on right now? Everyone's like, "What's going on with Iran?" All this stuff. No matter what's going on with the tariffs, Iran, Musk, everything. RFK is just working in the shadows. He's just working behind the scenes, trying to just making the food companies not poison you. So that is something that no matter how bad Iran gets, you guys got to have some support for. The fact that RFK is just back there. He's cleaning the foods. He's getting the fluoride out of the water. He's doing everything. He's saving your entire health. No matter what goes on in Iran or what goes on with your 401k or what goes on, what am I kidding? This is a rap stream. No one here has a 401k. But yeah, no matter what happens with those various issues, RFK is there making sure you don't die at 50 from some health issue. So thank RFK. No matter what happens at the top of the administration, he's still cleaning the food. He's getting the fluoride out of the water. He's getting the PFAs out of the water. He's getting everything out of the water. And soon he's going to have to take we're going to have to start doing the fat camps eventually. It's coming.
Yeah, the fat camps are coming. You guys be ready. Be ready. I know.
Oh, yeah, John, basically what I was talking about is like, you got to respect the fact that RFK, when all this stuff is going on with Iran, the tariffs, Musk, all this is going on, he's just working in the shadows, like cleaning everything up. Like, you just got to respect
working in the shadow. Yeah, no, I heard everything you're saying. I have wireless earbuds, but beautiful stalling, Luke. I took double my normal steroid dose this morning, kind of on accident. So I was like, whenever you take steroids, you just drink like infinite more amounts of water than normal. So TMI. But anyways, let's see. Mike Oxford for 2. Oxhard for 2. I really don't want Lindsey Graham getting his way. Yeah, for sure. Avery for 20. I think I recognize Avery. Hello, Avery. Are you the person that retweets a bunch of pro-life stuff on my timeline? You're a cool guy. Avery, if the U.S. does get involved in a war, I'm about done with DJT. Other promises still have to happen, but getting in a war is a step that cannot be undone. He's better than KH, lesser of two evils. I think right now we think there's going to be a strike, or there may not be a strike, but we think that there may be a strike, but we're not thinking a war. I think that's the full extent. I think JD is kind of trying to, if we were going to have a strike, that post we saw earlier was JD priming us for the possibility of a strike. but he wasn't telling us there was going to be one. So it's just like he's
I
either
will say
priming
this
us.
isn't to defend it in any way, but I do think you would if the United States did do a strike and it were to like kill Khomeini, or I think that's the guy's name. Um, if that did happen, I think you would. This idea that Trump's approval would tank, I disagree with that. I think it would rise, especially with a certain generation that's been kind of turned off by him. So
Yeah,
I think you would see a slight rally around the flag, but again, this is no excuse. You should not be doing it. But I think
right.
the people who are like this will tank his presidency, it won't. But
It,
that's not a good thing necessarily.
it,
It'll give him a boost for the wrong reasons. Okay, go on.
I see myself as representing a large portion of the MAGA movement, but that's not necessarily the entire population of the United States. And I see a lot of non-MAGA people, non-America First people that absolutely would like it. And it's weird because, and I don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe it. But you look at the data from like Rasmussen. Rasmussen says a majority of Americans support striking Iran. I think I think there's a large portion, a large portion of the country that's against extended war. I think that's the real majority. But in terms of like striking Iran, it seems like a majority of people are fine with it. And it's, I don't like
And you
that.
notice the Dems, you will notice this too. The Dems are not really attacking Trump on this a lot. Obviously, libs on Twitter, like just these random lib accounts are, but like you don't see the actual Democratic politicians because they all agree with this. Everyone in Washington like agrees with this. So you're not going to see Democrats running on like he promised to keep you out of war. Like that's not going to happen because all of these people, if it were brought up for a vote, which we know it wouldn't be, they'd all vote in favor of it outside of like Bernie and like that coalition. Um, so yeah, that's how it goes.
That's all right. The people saw in chat. Like I was trying to look at the OBS real quick, and they got jump scared by my desktop. Shorekeeper jump scare. Okay. Anyways. Yeah, no, Bucky, that's me, bro. I'm. It's not rap. It's me. I'm just. I'm acknowledging that I accidentally showed you my desktop. Okay, but no, there's another story with RFK that I think you'll be more interested in. It's more interesting than the food dye ban. So yeah, we're happy Kraft Heinz is complying with RFK, but this article that I'm using remove paywall to read from Bloomberg, RFK Jr. plans crackdown on pharma ads in threat to $10 billion market. So this is really spicy. I'm going to give you guys the cliff notes. I'm not going to read through this whole thing.
Very spicy is crazy.
The Trump admin is discussing policy. Well, no, it's really spicy because it affects big industries. It affects Fox News terribly.
Does it affect
Spice? Spice. Yeah, no. The Trump admin is discussing, well, at the very least, I think it was very decent. I think I have tasteful desktops. Anyways, Trump admin is discussing policies that would make it harder and more expensive for pharma companies to advertise directly to patients in a move that could disrupt more than $10 billion in annual ad spending. The United States is the only place besides New Zealand where pharma ad companies can directly advertise. Banning pharma ads outright could make the admin vulnerable to lawsuits. Instead, it's focusing on cutting down the practice by adding legal and financial hurdles. So here's the chunk. The two policies the admin has focused on would be to require greater disclosure of side effects of a drug within each, likely making broadcast ads much longer and prohibitively expensive, or removing the industry's ability to deduct direct consumer advertising as a business expense for tax purposes. So right now, think about pharma ads right now that you see if you guys are on YouTube or like YouTube TV, or if you're on like a cable news. And I don't think many of you watch cable news, but they have like solid minute-long ads, and they have to be a minute long because they can't get the legal requirements for the ad through without doing it. So the problem with banning pharma outright is that this giant $10 billion industry will start suing the living shit out of the admin. But the idea is that, we're not going to make it illegal to have a pharma ad, but we're going to make it so that your pharma ad, because of all of the side effects and because of everything else, we're going to make your pharma ad like 3 minutes long, and no news network wants to run that 3-minute ad. except for like those, like, what do you
I
call it?
mean, and you already see like those pharma ads go on like way too long with like these are the side effects, and what they kind of get around that now though because they read it off like super fast. So technically they're reading it, but it's just like side effects include blah, 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 like like
Yeah.
sometimes you'll see those ads do that. But
So so yeah, the main crux of it is that they're gonna basically go at it a very indirect way and basically be like, yeah, no, you can totally do it. We're just gonna make it impossible for you to run this ad on YouTube or cable news or anywhere where the old people that you're trying to con can see it. And so, it, I actually really like this. I'm a big fan of this. Obviously,
mhm.
we have very limited legal resources, that good legal resources in the DOJ because of like the nature of us trying to fix it. And right now, just being able to avoid a legal battle while also basically wiping them out of existence would be one of the most beautiful things. People were talking yesterday about like how Fox News exploits old people. And, you could talk about the politics of it and how they're currently trying to like rile up all of the MAGA boomers into wanting, to shed the bloods of their grandchildren. But if like non-political exploitation of elders on Fox News, I have a laundry list. Number one, the reverse mortgage ads. These people teach old people. They're like, you're sitting on a gold mine. You're sitting on a gold mine. They try to get boomers to sell their house so that they can't give it to their children or grandchildren. And they also are trying to get them to sell their house on the premise that they will die before it's finished being sold. So so these ads could have your grandma or grandpa on the street homeless because they were tricked into selling their house to someone. That is an ad that is run on Fox News. Another ad that's run on Fox News. They have like this International Society for Helping Holocaust Survivors, and they have videos that are 10, 15, 20-year-old videos of old ladies pretending basically to be hold on a second. I'm getting a call. Okay. They have like Holocaust survivors. 90-year-old Holocaust survivor is without food and water. And like if you go and you look into it, it's like the International Association for Jews and Christians or something. It's basically a giant money laundering operation. Like 85% or like 80% of all the like all of the money that they get goes to paying the people that organize the foundation, and like none of it goes to anybody. And we don't even know who the crap they're helping because they're like talking about these people that should be dead, like these people in the 1940s that were apparently children, like young children, and they're supposed to be 90, 100 years old today. I don't get it. But that's number two. Number three, like almost every single ad on Fox News is some exploitation of an old person. That's what I'm explaining to you guys. It's like,
Oh yeah,
the
they're going over the audience. Like, what do you expect?
no, but like, with like other ads, it's like our ads are like, oh, hey, do you want like this cheap razor from Amazon? Or like, do you want a blue chew? Like
Mhm.
that's not like the same kind of exploitation. It's just like, it's ridiculous. Also, I would say number four, if I wanted to bring up something aside from Big Pharma, the gold and silver sellers on there, gold and silver are good things to have. They're good things to purchase, but the people that sell them to the old people on Fox News have been caught selling them at inflated prices, like prices where you could go and find gold at at a shop locally for way cheaper than these people call. So they basically screw old people in. And I know, like when we're thinking in our 20s and 30s, and we're like, oh, I would never fall for something like that. The problem is like with old people, we know that there's some degeneration happening with the neurons in their brains. And that's why dementia and Alzheimer's are so prevalent. Like they do not have the same like biological capacity to avoid being tricked as you do. They're deeply vulnerable people. And the law recognizes this, which is why if someone in the health industry tries to sell Medicare packages or Medicare supplementary packages to old people, you can get sued into non-existence. And like as a person, you can get sued into the ground where like you have nothing and you have to declare bankruptcy because you accidentally misinformed an elderly person about one aspect of a Medicare package. I'm not BSing you. That happens. And so if there's such strict restrictions on that industry, which I believe there should be, why do we not have those same restrictions on these people? It's like absolutely ridiculous.
Hmm.
But to get back to the
I just
story,
like to say I think I'm gonna check out in a few minutes.
yeah,
Um, but actually, maybe I'll stay on. But I do want to make one comment
yeah,
about the RFK and why I think it's net positive. We have gone a long way from about 15 years ago, where Sarah Palin was standing up at CPAC, holding a big gulp and saying, "This is conservatism. This is American freedom." Drinking yourself to death, eating, drinking fucking big gulps, giving yourself an unimaginable amount of health issues. And now we have an administration that's like, maybe we shouldn't have chemicals in the water and the food and everything.
yeah.
Maybe we should be like trying to not do this. you know, I do appreciate we've done a lot. The right has made many strides over the past decade or so on the environment, on just healthiness in general. And you do love to see it. I'm very glad that RFK has become a part of this administration. I think he offered a lot. And yeah, I can't wait to see what he does next. So I think I'll
Yep,
stay on for a bit, actually.
yep. Totally agree. Lord Rhino for 2. But will RFK stop people putting soap on the chicken? The only way you're going to avoid that, Rhino, is by no longer purchasing chicken from Walmart or Winn-Dixie. Find another place. Go to like kind of a higher class place if you're going to get like store chicken. You need to.
Or you know what we do in Wisconsin, or at
What
least
do you
my
do?
family does? We get chicken from the Amish.
Oh,
So if you
yeah,
live
but
near Amish, and super cheap too. It's like super cheap. That's the great thing. If you live near Amish, you have no excuse to not get fresh produce from them. Fresh produce, meat, everything. You know why? Because it's very affordable and it's all fully organic. These people raise it like everything's fully natural, tastes great, amazing. You aren't going to be and it's way cheaper than you find in the store. It's way cheaper than the organic shit you find in the stores too, because the organic shit is usually like way more money. Because and even the organic shit, those chickens are not raised naturally. They're still in a factory. It's just they're not given as much of the stuff that the cheaper chicken is. But yeah, the Amish will give you cheaper chicken. They'll give you cheaper other things like potatoes, corn, stuff like that.
whoa!
Recommended.
I've got a $50 super chat from Dillybot. Okay, thank you for $50, bro. But we're like, sorry, it's like we have a bunch of other super chats, but I'm going to read the $50 one first, guys. Okay, humans have been killing each other for centuries. We are animals. Anti-war folks have a childlike minds. Utopia doesn't exist. When we colonize the stars, humans on Mars and humans on Earth will start killing each other for many reasons. Okay, well, Dillybot.
Well, dude, yeah, no one's saying that war does it, but you don't have to like try to make war happen, like, bro.
We're
Like,
not so like listen, if you're talking about stuff like there's like the anti-war protests over the past half century that I think are really that like depending on the context I thought were really stupid. Not particularly wars we got into, wars in other places. Like, yeah, peace protests can be run by stupid people. Stupid people can also lobby for war. So there's stupid people on both
I just
sides.
don't like the protest people do where the war has no effect on them, like the Gaza thing or the free Tibet stuff back in the 80s and 90s. Like, bro, it had no effect on you.
Free
Like, I'm
Tibet,
sorry.
bro. Free Tibet. No, it's yeah,
And
no,
even
like listen.
probably thinks Tibet is like in India or something. Probably has no
Yeah,
idea.
no, so I think the main thing, I'm not an anti-war person. I think there's certain times when war is just. I don't I like so there was like a papal encyclical that made a bunch of Catholics turn into very recently by Pope Francis turned a bunch of Catholics into anti-war people all the time. I don't believe in what that papal encyclical said. I think actually it was really silly, and I think that like the new pope should overwrite whatever the crap he was saying in that. Basically, he was arguing that there were no just wars at any point in human history. No, there's been just wars in human history. Okay, it's just that there's an unnecessary war that we don't want to go to, and a necessary war is different from righteous just war. I believe in just war. I don't believe in stupid unnecessary wars. Okay. Anyways, More super chats, more super chats. American Nerd for 10. Apparently, the article from earlier describes Americans lining up to fill out the job applications to be even more recent Latin American migrants / potential illegal migrants. Any truth to that? No idea. What I will say though, if we're moving from illegals to legals, we're at least going in the right direction. I'll just say that much. American Nerd for 3. No pharma ads would be extremely based. I agree. K-Cub for 5. Ad. Side effects include list over 150 side effects, including possible developments of incurable diseases. Me? Bruh, I just got itchy eyes, bro. It's like, why am I getting colon cancer from this eye drop, bro? Okay. Dillybod 5. Also, as Paul Joseph Watson says, I haven't heard that name in a few years, some cultures are better than others. Yes. Okay, we're all going to agree with that. I've believed that from like the first. I actually had these kind of arguments in like my ethics classes at uni, where like people got really offended over the idea that some cultures
Dude, I
are
love
better
how
than
you
others.
bring up Paul Joseph Watson and you immediately start turning British. You're saying uni. You're saying fucking uni.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine my shock. Imagine my
I was
shock.
at uni. I was at uni. I did some research at uni.
When the liberal hive mind interfered with my punk rock conservatism. Like, I don't know. Mike Oxford for 2. Tibet belongs to India, Luke. Tibet belongs to India.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Well, I would give Tibet to India before I gave Tibet independence. They do not deserve freedom. I'm sorry. Also, look up what the Dalai Lama does with kids. Okay, he's a weirdo. Okay, anyone who likes that guy is weird as fuck. Okay, rant over. Why is it always the separatist movements from China are just horrible?
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Last one. We're finally through the super chats. American Nerd for 2. God bless you all for sending super chats. I didn't even tell you to send super chats today. I should have told you, but God bless you for sending them.
Did they meet the goal?
I don't know. I haven't checked. Well, that $50 one might have gotten us up there, but American Nerd for 2. Besides World War II, what other wars were just? I mean, if you okay, so you're asking me. I'm an Orthodox Christian. Okay, crusades, multiple crusades were justified. Couple of crusades, really stupid. Multiple of the crusades were deeply justified. And when you look at it and you read about it, Spain reconquering Iberia, those were very justified wars, deeply justified wars. There's multiple things that I could bring up. Like, do you want to have like a giant history powwow? Like, that would be what we would do. But that's where my brain as a Christian goes.
The Union taking the South was a very justified war. I'm totally not just saying this to make John angry.
That is Luke bringing up the War of Northern Aggression, the one between 1861 and 1865, where the very innocent, brave, and noble United States of America were attacked by this weird dictatorship in the North. Yeah, no, anyways. No, that's just Luke poking my ribs. Coping, seething, loser. No. I do like to point out to people, though, that has nothing to do with the war itself. I do like to point out to people in World War I and in World War II, both of those wars, Southerners fought for the United States of America as proud American patriots. And they had that funny little flag that everybody wants to burn nowadays. And they were waving it.
Oh, no, I'm not against that flag. I'm okay with it existing as a cultural stuff. I just think people who still defend the Confederacy are stupid. No, because there's this individual on Twitter named John Joystan who lives in Pennsylvania, and he acts like a neo-Confederate. Like, bro, I'm sorry, you live in Pennsylvania. So, okay,
people that get too deep into LARPs are very annoying. I stand by,
especially if you're from the North. Especially if you're from the North. Okay,
my hyper contrarian thing, which I expect many people in chat to disagree with, I do actually support the people that were my ancestors. I support Robert E. Lee, and I support all of our generals.
I don't really care about you because you're from the South. But when I see people from the North doing that shit, I'm just like, man, bro.
Well, if you were, it was like when JD was asked by Theo Von on the interview before. He was like, Theo Von stupidly asked him, was like, well, what side would you fight for, JD? And like, well, listen, like JD, he was from, like, his family is from Kentucky, but he lived in Ohio. Ohio is on the side of the Union. Like, what kind of question is that? you fight
And
for
he's
the
also the
side.
vice president of the United States. What do you expect him to answer? Like,
Well, like even if he wasn't vice president, I think that JD still would have said I would have fought for the Union, and I would have been like, well, you were born and grew up in Ohio, so that makes total sense to me.
Nikki Haley, that might have been a little bit different because we all know the
Uh,
comment she made at that
Nikki
one
Nikki
rally.
Haley Nikki Haley was so sloppy. That was like the worst. She did terrible. Like Nikki Haley, like she flubbed that so hard. It was
I just love it.
dumb.
I know it's like completely BS, but and I know she just like slipped up, but I love the like assumption that she's just like some neo Confederate. I
She's
just
a,
find it funny that
she
the
projects
Sikh.
the, she projects the American like Civil War onto her like Indian ethnic conflict. I bet that's it.
Yeah.
American Nerd for 5, for the fun of it, if they had to pick a Greek god y'all like the most, like the Iranians, if the Iranians had to pick a Greek god to worship the most, what would it be? I don't know, Apollo? No, oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna have Iran become, they're gonna worship Poseidon. And like they're all gonna get really obsessed with like being like a seafaring nation. And they're just gonna like have autism about ships and stuff for the rest of their existence.
And
How
then
about that?
they're gonna go to Tel Aviv. They're gonna sail to Tel Aviv, and
They're
then
gonna sail to Tel
you know
Aviv.
through the Suez Canal. That would be interesting.
There were some really interesting people that were obsessed with Poseidon in antiquity. We need some Poseidon obsessed people coming back. Um, American Nerd for 3, some Southern CW generals who fought for the Union. Okay. Lord Rhino for 5, Union or Confederate Dixie, which is better? No, objectively, I believe that Confederate was better. I think that the project of the United States, the original project,
Oh yeah, I'll
was being
admit Union
continued in
Dixie
the.
is a stupid song. I'll admit that. I think it's stupid.
Oh, so
I think that
I actually kind of assumed he was, because I used to call myself, my @ used to be Dixie Wizard. I thought he was talking to me. Okay, yeah, no. Confederate Dixie's good. There's actually some really good remixes of Dixieland if you want to look for them. There's like a French version. There's a very
for like
drunk Slavic version.
For
You need the
Nolans.
there's a weeb
Yeah,
version of Dixieland.
it's actually kind of funny because in New Orleans, like fall like right away to the Union.
There were very bad and ugly things that happened in New Orleans. I think I'll stop there.
I think I can tell what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like it's like one of those things. I think people should know what
Was it
happened in
okay?
New
But was it
Orleans.
Balkan levels? Was it Balkan levels or
Yeah,
not quite?
yeah. I mean, like in terms of I don't want to talk about it because it's not going to be good for the stream. It's not savory, but some deeply unsavory things happened to the people, the citizens that lived in New Orleans. And you can go look it up yourself if you want. Anyways, I wanted to get on to a couple of other things. I'm gonna try to get it like wrapped up at a normal time this time. So like we got like 10 minutes or so. Oh yeah, and that's like your call. Hey, if you have any particular questions about anything, the economy, the big beautiful bill, RFK, Iran, immigration, whatever, go
Various
ahead and get your
Chinese
super chats
separatist
in.
movements. Various
That
Chinese separatist movements. I'm your expert on that.
America Nerd for 2. I meant if you guys had to pick a Greek god, my Greek god is my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Mic drop. Okay. It's like Christ has been the god of the Greeks for longer than most of them believed in a lot of those other gods. The pantheon has been was a church longer than it was a pagan temple. Think about that, wrap that in your mind around a little bit. No, anyways. So I wanted to talk about this.
Who's your favorite Hindu god? Is it the elephant or the various other?
It's the red one with like 20 arms that looks angry and is like very obviously a demon, but like they just worship it anyways. It's that one. I don't. Anyways,
I don't even think there are any gods in Buddhism. It's just like the universe.
Don't tell pagan bros that Zeus was the Greek deity. He kind of was. There's like I didn't realize this, but there's like 20 different stories about Zeus like violating people. It's like really weird. Anyways, Mike Oxford 2. Hey John, would you ever visit West Taiwan, China? my problem with visiting West Taiwan
Okay, now
is
now you guys are just trying to get me to leave. Okay, guys, like calm
well,
down.
well, you were battering. Well, you brought up the Confederacy, bro. Okay, no. But anyways, my problem is just that I'm sure that there's nice places to go, and it'd be nice to go, like to see them. I, but I can't get out of my head like the main reason that we send students over there, which is like we have a very coordinated propaganda network to just like convince a bunch of like very impressionable young people that, you know, they're actually they are the morally superior actor to the United States. It's not just, oh, these people are okay, oh, these people are good, oh, we should work with these people. It's like, no, actually, we're the bad guys, these are the good guys, you need to fix our country. Like, I don't, that's what Tim Walz was up to. I don't like that. And it's just like it kind of keeps me from wanting to go there. Lord Rhino for 5. What's Luke's opinion on Inner Mongolia? Should regular Mongolia own it? That doesn't. It just
No,
doesn't make any sense.
Dude, it's mostly Han. Mostly Han people live in Inner Mongolia. That's like a LARP movement. It'd be like if Texas wanted to join Mexico. Like
Yeah.
it's like the majority of that province is Han Chinese. That's the thing. Like, and you can say, "Oh, the Chinese all moved them there so that they could outpopulate." But like, yeah, that's what happens. That's how China
Uh,
keeps control of provinces. That doesn't change
uh,
the fact. What do you want to do? Just deport all the Han from there? Like, no, you can't really do that now.
American Nerd for 3. Buddhism is more of a philosophy, in my opinion. I think it's been taught as a philosophy in the West, and it's treated like a philosophy. And people colloquially, like I did earlier in the stream, they talk about Buddhism in a very colloquial sense. Like, oh, I said Zen Buddhism, and
I
I
think
was
a
just
lot
saying,
of
like,
times
be
atheists who just
calm.
want to seem like I think a lot of times atheists who just want to seem like they're cool call themselves Buddhists. Oliver Stone is a Buddhist, but I don't really think he. I think he just is an atheist who thinks it's cool to call himself that. I still like Oliver Stone, but yeah, some of his personal things are a bit odd. I will say.
Yeah, so it's taught over here like that, but if you actually deal with the real thing, I would call Buddhism a couple of religions or maybe denominations of a particular religion. It's not really like denominations. It's like a
Same
couple
with
different
Hinduism. Like
religions.
Hinduism isn't one religion either; it's a bunch of different kinds. So yeah,
General
a lot of
Hydra,
those
CSA.
Asian religions.
General Hydra for 2,
So
CSA, we are the best. General Grant and Sherman, skull emoji. I don't know what you mean by that, but yeah, I'm not a fan of Sherman. I don't spurg about Sherman, but like there's also like weird people that
I
worship
don't
Sherman.
spurg about. No, I don't worship Sure. I like Grant
I
better. Grant was pretty cool.
I will say General Sherman, his wife is way crazier than him. Just read what his wife wrote. His wife is way crazier than he ever was. Um anyways, I want to talk about the Freedom Cities. We're gonna go through. This is like the rapid shot round. We're gonna go through
Also, I will
these.
say too for you, I'm not a big fan of John Brown either. I kind of see him as like the 1800s version of the people who burned down Planned Parenthoods. That's kind of the way I
Yes.
see him.
No,
Yes, I'm not a big fan
that
of him.
describes a lot of there's like a misportrayal of abolitionists. There were some people that were just really good moral Christians that believed in ending slavery, and then there's like some really crazy people that like kind of leap onto the abolition movement. I think that there's like noble causes within the abolition movement, and then there's just a lot of crazy people in the 19th century, and we don't talk about the crazy people because it kind of messes with the narrative. Um, American Nerd for 5. What's the best Civil War song in y'all's opinion, North or South? My favorites are Battle Hymn of the Republic. Battle. I mean, I listen to the like on the Bonnie Blue Flag a lot on repeat, but there's a couple other ones I could bring up. Um, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep going because I want to get through the story. Um,
My favorite
Mike,
song from the South is a Roll Britannia.
Rule Britannia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
because yeah, you guys were getting some backing because they love that cotton.
all right, American Nerd for 5. If y'all thought Zeus being Diddy was weird, look up how Aphrodite came to be in the Theogony. Okay, so we're going to go ahead to this story. I want to talk about this because a lot of people are upset about this on Twitter, and I wanted to bring some context to the conversation that's being ignored. People are like Benji Backer here saying, Based Mike Lee is secretly trying to sell 3 million acres of America's public land for development, and it includes some of my favorite places, specifically the ones in the picture below. Americans across the political spectrum are overwhelmingly against our sale of beauty. And he's like, beautiful river, beautiful mountain, beautiful cactus. Like, oh my gosh, how dare he? And then Mike Lee responds, by the way, this is the Freedom Cities project, the thing that Trump had like campaigned on since early 23. None of the places depicted would be eligible for sale under our bill, the Senate bill that Mike Lee is currently proposing. The legislation specifically exempts national parks, national monuments, wilderness areas, national recreation areas, and 11 other categories of federally protected land from sales to build much needed housing for American families. Now there's this reader's note that they added since I recently said it. The senator is incorrect. I actually have the bill pulled up. So we're actually going to look at it. Okay, guys? So we're going to have this very, very fun. We're going to have a nice little ramble about this, but people then responded to Mike Lee's post here saying, oh my gosh, no, that's not true. You want to sell 500 bajillion acres of land that are beautiful, beautiful things. Teddy Roosevelt is rolling in his grave. How dare you, Mike Lee? How dare you try to enact a bill that's about President Trump's agenda? How dare you, Mike Lee? And you know, I love nature. I think that it should be preserved. The United States federal government owns a third of the land that we currently occupy, and that's not the way the system was ever set up. And some people don't care about that, and that some people don't appreciate that, the fact that that's not the way things are supposed to be. And they also don't appreciate the fact that that's not all beautiful land. It's really not. And that's part of kind of what we're going to be talking about here. If we actually go over... Oh, yeah. Here's another example. I'm Mike Lee, and I'm from Utah, and I can promise you Utahns want their scrublands paved with H-1B housing so new arrival truck drivers can pray to Wiggaroo on the House floor. So part of the pushback against Mike Lee is from people who rightfully criticize his other policies. Mike Lee is lobbying for H-1Bs, and he lobbies for a few other things. I disagree with Mike Lee on those things, and I think that we should push back on those things. But now these things are getting conflated into the Freedom Cities project, which I don't really like, because we actually go and look at the bill. I have the bill pulled up for you right now. This is the section on oil and gas, leasing, mining, lands. Here we go. So section 0301, mandatory prudent sale of Bureau of Land Management land and National Forest System land, BLM and National Forest System. So that community note is not what this says. It's the forest land and the BLM land directs the Bureau of Land Management to dispose of 0.5 to 0.75% of certain BLM land and Forest Service to dispose of 0.5 to 0.75% of certain National Forest System land to address the housing crisis. Okay. So people were talking about all like hundreds of millions of acres being like turned into massive housing and sprawling districts. No. First of all, that would like, we don't have the money to do that, but also no, that's not what's happening. In the forest system, it looks like, according to what I've been seeing, there's some semi-arid land, almost desert land that is that is appropriately flat enough to build housing on, that is near some cities in Utah. And in order to help the housing market, they want to build land there. And so it's in very specific places near towns. They're locating it right now, where they're in the process of locating it now. This bill would direct and expedite the process of finding it. But of the hundreds of millions of acres we're discussing in the National Forest System's land, it is 0.5 to 0.75%. Your forests aren't going away. Your natural beauty is not going away. And none of that's going away. 0.5% of the land that the federal government basically stole from the states that it was incorporating is being used to help us have houses. You can have different opinions on this. It's completely fine. But when I look at this, this is so overblown. Oh my gosh. And I have this other part. This is another section of it. If we go down to like page 33 here, it says the exact same thing. The secretary shall select for disposal not less than 0.5 and not more than 0.75% of BLM land, shall dispose of all right title interest to the U.S. and to those Secretary of Ag shall select for disposal 0.5 to 0.75 of National Forest System land. So no, it's not going away. It's like I just, you can disagree with me, Luke. I'm totally fine with that, but it's like it's such a small percentage of it, and it seems to be not beautiful forestry, but it seems to be like rugged land, according to what I've seen from Mike Lee and the defenders of the bill. What do you think about it?
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I like completely turned out, but I assume you're talking about federal land.
Well, right. So federal
I
land's
know.
being turned over for the Freedom Cities project, and my point is just that it's
I
not.
see.
It seems like it's bad land. It's not like the beautiful land. It's bad land that would be good for housing, like semi-arid, almost desert-like land near other cities. And also, it just so happens to be not 200 million acres of forest land, but 0.5% of the national forestry is 0.5 to 0.75% of the forestry's land. So like 0.5%, man. Like, do you think
I
that
mean,
that's
if
like
there's no
unreasonable?
like, if it's not like full like forested area, if it's like straight up, if it's a desert, yeah, use it for those freedom cities. Why not? You know,
I
like what
I
else
don't.
is that
Yeah, I
land
just
gonna
don't
be?
get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. Like yeah, I don't see because like I'm a big conservationist. You know, I like the idea of the environment. I think we should protect it. I don't think
Right.
we should let chemicals get in the water supply. I don't think we should be destroying, deforesting the entire planet to just build new stuff. But like, if we got a big desert like that, a bunch of like arid land like that that's just not being used, why not put a use for it? You know.
Well, yeah. And
Um,
that, I've seen this. I just think it's legitimately land
and
that the
this was
government
one of
holds
Trump's
just cause.
earliest, and it was one of Trump's earliest campaign like things was talking about the freedom cities. He brought that up in like I think January or February of 2023. So I think he wants to try doing it. Let the man cook. Let the man cook, you know? So
So Colton's doing some quick math in there. He says U.S. government owns 640 million acres. That's not the right metric to use. We're talking about not all of the land that the U.S. owns, but specifically the land under the forestry, the forest system, national forest system. NFS, it has about, what was it? I think it's like
yeah, I got a
198
question.
million
If the
acres.
land isn't forested, why is it owned by them? That's weird. Maybe
Uh,
we should like
because it's just not considered like a national park, and it's not under whatever other category. So they have some
uh,
semi-arid land under the forestry system that is flat. That is like it's
I will
basically
say
all.
though, I am
Yeah.
gonna head out. So it was nice being
Okay.
on, but
Yep.
yeah, thank you guys for putting up with my autistic ramblings about Chinese separatist movements, among other things. But yeah, be on my channel tonight. We'll be covering Virginia. Adios.
All right. Later. Okay. And let's see. Uh, Lord Rhino for 2. Why did Count Dooku not help the CSA? Sad to say, he should have. He should have hopped in. American Nerd for 5. Do they really think freedom cities are going to be built in our national parks like Yellowstone? Because that's the dumbest thing I've heard in a while. That's not exactly what they're saying, but they're afraid of natural beauty being attacked, and I really don't think that it's that. I have seen pictures of some of the land that they want to sell, and it looks like stuff that's ready to be turned into a construction lot. It really does. It's very flat. There's like not a lot of trees on it. It's just stuff hanging out around a couple of cities in Utah. I don't think they've picked the land yet, but I don't think it's going to be anything particularly beautiful or worth preserving. And I don't think Teddy is rolling in his grave, guys. I'm just going to be real. I really don't think Teddy Roosevelt is rolling in his grave. Um, let's see here. Luke's channel tonight will only be talking about Chinese separatist movements. That is actually true, Rhino. Any freedom cities in Texas? They're saying it's mostly in the west of the United States, so not quite sure. Yeah, Colton, that sounds closer to what they're doing. And understand, it's not going to be all of that land that they sell, but that's where they're going to be looking for the land to sell for the freedom cities. So yeah, no, 0.5 to 0.75%. It's a couple million. So that's hundreds of millions of acres not being touched. That's my perspective. You can say 2 million's a lot. I say like what 198, 196 million acres is a lot more. So yeah, not really concerned about that. We're going to go to economy real quick, and this is about the bill. I'm going to tell you a couple of things about the bill, and we'll kind of expand on it tomorrow, just to kind of round out the end here. We had this thing coming from Zero Hedge. Big miss. They did not correctly predict retail sales. Retail sales are down to 0.9%, expected 0.6%. So people are not consuming as much as we expected them to. And this is seen as a market indicator that we should absolutely have already cut Fed rates, because that will help with consumer spending. So yeah, we've been talking a lot about positive economic indicators, but this was a slightly negative one I wanted to talk about. And the reason is because the primary solution to it is to cut the rate. We need to get the Federal Reserve up here, actually cutting the rate. That's pretty much the story. But yeah, no, going into it, I wanted to talk a little bit about the bill. Money Cruncher CPA on X did an abbreviated version of the Senate Big Beautiful Bill. I think we'll dissect this tomorrow, or I might do a video on it. If you guys want a video, let me know. Just like kind of breaking down what this thread is and everything else. But at the end of the day, it looks like the Senate's cutting back on some stuff that we really want. And they're also potentially doing some really bad thing. I know Senator Josh Hawley really dislikes this version of the bill. Let's see here. Yeah, they're limiting the increase on child tax credits. They're limiting what you can deduct on no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. They're increasing the tax deduction for seniors. It's like, okay, so you're taking money from us. You're taking money from us, and then you're setting it up for the seniors. Okay. They're cutting down on salt, which I know the fiscal hawks may like, but at the end of the day is just kind of disappointing. Not disappointing for us, but disappointing because it might get the bill to fail in the House. Let me be clear on that. I don't like the salt. I don't want the salt. I don't live in a state that benefits from salt. It's just that the salt is being cut back down to its original level, and it's probably going to tank the bill in the House if they try to pass it. Yeah, not good. So keep an eye out for that. We're going to talk more about it tomorrow, but I think that's really silly. Foreign graduates are crushing natural-born Americans in pay, analysis finds. College graduates who immigrated to the U.S. on student visas earn substantially more than their native-born counterparts, according to an analysis by the EIG. Median salary for U.S.-born graduates, $87,000, while graduates who came to the U.S. on student visas earned a median $115,000. You may be asking, how could this possibly happen? How could we possibly have migrants, visa holders, have better jobs than native-born Americans? Well, when you do DEI and when you do discriminatory hiring, where you're trying to meet quotas, when you're trying to affect disparate impact, this is what happens. Businesses need more minorities. They are in low supply demand. The price for these visa holders goes up. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous that someone who has no right to anything in our country ever makes $30,000 more than a college graduate from the States, native-born American. Makes no sense. 0 cents, period. Absolutely ridiculous. Adrian is asking what SALT is. It's basically a reduction in federal taxes according to states that have really high taxes. They're trying to give tax relief to people that live in places like New York. And that relief, why did we support that relief being in the bill, even if we don't support the relief being there at all? It's because there's 8 or 9 House of Representative members that weren't going to sign on the bill if they didn't. And so the bill was going to fail, and we wanted the bill to pass so that we can get our immigration money, the tax cuts, everything else. But I don't really like this Senate version of the bill, particularly because it's cutting back on all the benefits that we were going to get. It's giving it to other places that I don't think really need it. And then also it's giving provisions like with the SALT that's going to tank it in the House. The House has to pass it after the Senate passes it. And if the SALT's not there, the assumption is going to be that the bill fails because You don't need all 8 or 9 of those people to stand in solidarity against the bill. You just need a couple of those, blue state Republicans to just flip, and then we don't have a bill anymore. And then all of our taxes go up. And that kind of sucks. Yeah, they're messing with salt, Lewis. They're messing with salt, and it's probably going to tank the bill if they don't adjust it before putting it to the floor. It worries me a lot. Obviously, if they could get the bill passed in the House without the salt, I'd be really happy. I'd be really happy about that. But I don't think it's possible. I think our Congress is too incompetent. We need pepper. Yeah, that's true, K-Cub. Anyways, that was another story. Recent graduates facing deteriorated labor market as unemployment reaches highest level in years. So we're seeing this. Graduates are having like a 5 to 6% unemployment rate as a result of, well, exactly what we were just talking about, which is that people are not being properly prioritized. We have a system. We have to abolish disparate impact in the federal government, and we have to stop hiring discrimination in these companies, because the people who are actually graduating from our schools with degrees can't even find work. And they can't find work because of all this nonsense that's going on. I blame the DI, I blame disparate impact. I feel like Americans will get more jobs when we take care of this stuff. And this isn't the illegal raids. The illegal raids are for low skill work or, trade work. These raids, not raids, but these jobs are being taken by those visa holders. The visa holders, the H-1Bs, all these people who just really have no business being in our country. And yeah, like I said, I just defended Mike Lee's appropriation of land in a Senate bill. I do not agree with Senator Mike Lee, in regards to his protection of H-1B visa holders in the state of Texas or anywhere else. I know he's from Utah, but there's a massive H-1B problem in Texas. It's bad. It's bad. And this is the next stage of immigration conversation. If we're talking about mass deportations, if we're talking about raids, we need to help out the middle class, the upper middle class here, that could be a substantial chunk of Trump's voting base. But they're not, because we're not properly helping them. So if we make it easier for them to get jobs, I feel like we're going to have a lot more MAGA patriots on board in the upper rack of the middle class. They need to get as much help as the people in the lower end. Just playing, I graduated and can't find a job easily. It's not just you, man. It's not just you, and it's been going about this for a while. My family members had trouble getting jobs, and they were having engineering jobs. They were having jobs in the medical industry. They were not dumb jobs. They were STEM jobs, and STEM degrees, and they were not getting jobs. It took them a year, 2, 3 years, 4 years. It's absolutely ridiculous. Why are we flooding the market with all of these visa holders and foreigners and legal migrants? Why do we let them take all of these jobs? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But anyways, jobs be like, where's your 5 years experience with bachelor's degree? Yeah, the requirements are ridiculous in the first place because the college standards have fallen. They can't trust anybody from the colleges anymore. But on top of it, we can't even get them jobs properly. Like we can't get the right people in the right jobs because of all of these stupid quotas. And that's part of what's changing the behavior of their hiring. If we get rid of this nonsense, if we fix the immigration part of this equation, it all goes away. It all gets better. I promise. I actually do promise you that. If we can push and we can get visas reduced, you will see native-born job growth in these fields grow. You will see unemployment decline, and you will see people like feeding off the teat of the country. You'll see them go away. Okay. But yeah, that was what I talked about with economy. The bill's looking bad. The Senate needs to fix it. And the Senate needs to fix it specifically because I don't think it'll pass. When we need to go after H-1Bs, man. Those are my points for in the economy. Rap sent me something. Border agents did not release a single illegal migrant into the U.S. last month, per New York Post. May of 2024, 64,000. May of 2025, 0. Get W's in the chat. W's in the chat for illegals not coming over the border. Not a single migrant released into our interior. That's a big W. Yeah, no, that's absolutely wonderful. I'm very pleased with that. There is one more story I was thinking about covering, but I think I'll save it for tomorrow. It has to do with a little temper tantrum happening over in East Europe. So I hope you guys look forward to that. Looks like a little someone, a little clown fella with a big nose. He's a bit upset that he's not getting attention right now. He's upset that the other world conflicts are absorbing the global elite's time and occupation. He's looking for some extra handouts. We'll talk about that dirty little comedian next time. Yeah, no. Big nose fella in Eastern Europe. Who could it be? Yeah, no. But it's just really sad. We'll talk about that next time. We'll talk about a couple other things. We'll go more into the bill stuff. Because we do need to talk about the Senate bill, and it needs to be discussed even with all the other crap going on. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you have any ideas for videos or stuff, leave it in the comments. Leave me stuff. If you send me stuff at Real John Rose on Twitter, I'll see it. I'll help out. Like I said, I'm helping out Rap, trying to keep regular content, daily content on the channel. So just let me know what you guys want to see. I may actually talk about the funny nose guy later. I have to figure out which video I want to make. But yeah. Nope. It'll be good. It'll be good. I enjoy talking with you guys. God bless you all. And I hope all of you have a fantastic rest of your day. All right. Bye-bye.